Hello Internet, welcome back to the channel. Today we are reviewing 3.0 and you see the list is big enough. We are going to review everything from the page transition, the new quick remote templates, the new AI functions and everything here listed. It will take a while, but we are going to do it together, okay? Stick to the video if you want to see all the new features from Advanced Themer. Okay guys, the first feature I want to talk about is the page transitions. So keep in mind this is an experimental feature, okay? So all back in using it on production yet. It's not quite ready, but I think it's working already pretty well. So there are three levels of page transition. There are global transition, which will apply on all the pages of your website, okay? The page-specific level, so you can define a page transition between two pages, okay? And it won't affect the whole website, okay? And you can also animate elements inside two pages, okay? And create a transition between elements of two pages, okay? So let's review each of these levels. The first one, the global one, you need to go to the theme settings, and if you go to global settings, you see that there is a new option here, page transition, and here we have the three levels, okay, that you can activate it independently. So the first one, transition globally. As soon as I activate it, you see that I have other options that pop up inside the menu, but for now let's just ignore them. I'm going to delete because I had some tests here and I will show you in a moment what everything does. Okay, so this is the default values. I'm just going to save the settings. Okay, and I created an archive with a blog post, okay? So if I refresh now I have a global animation going on, okay? So if I open the post, you will see a slight animation between the post and the archive, okay? And if I go back in the browser, you will see also the animation. So it's really light, okay? But it works also on the navigation buttons of the browser. Now, if I want to customize the animation, let's make it more slow, for example. Let's add 800 for the animation duration. Save the settings. And let's restart and see the changes. Okay, if I open now, you see that the transition is really more visible, okay? But it's always an opacity effect. Now you can also customize, of course, the animation type. So for this you need to understand two things. What is an animation old page and what is a new page? So basically when it loads the page, the browser will create a snapshot of your original page, okay? And it will animate this image until the DOM is loaded, okay? And the new page is actually your DOM, your document, right? So once you understand this, you can understand that you can apply different animation on the snapshot and on the DOM, okay? So for the first one, I'm going to animate the opacity, right? So I'm going to create an opacity and I'm going to fade away the snapshot, okay? So opacity 0. Right, for the second one, I'm going to create a translation. So I'm going to transform and say I want the DOM to come from the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to say transform translate y, and I'll say start from the beginning of the page, so for the bottom, so 100%. Okay, and you can conclude the animation by going to 0. Okay, and I'm going to set here 100%. Okay, so now we have a custom animation both on the old snapshot, okay, and the new document. Let's save the settings and see the results. Refresh the page and click on the bottom. You see that first there is, okay, I'm going to apply also a delay, so it will be really a strong effect. Okay, so it's more clear for you guys to understand. Okay, do you see the difference? So first there is the opacity and then the translation. Okay, and this will apply on all your page. Okay, maybe you don't want to have this effect, the same effect on each of your pages, right? It's pretty strong, and it could be an issue for your visitors, right? So in this case, we are going to disable the global animation, and we are going to work on a page-specific level, the page transition on pages. Let's just save the settings. And now I'm going to open my archive in the builder, okay? And here I'm going to restart. And we'll go to the page settings. And now we see that there is a new item, page transition. And we need to activate the page transition on this archive. But in order to work, we need to link two pages. So if I just activate this page, there will be no transition because it needs an origin transition and a target transition. So I'm also going to open my post template. Okay, let's restart it. And I'm also going to open the page settings here and apply the transitions. Okay. Now I'm going to repeat the exact same custom animation I made earlier. Okay. So I'm going to put 8 milliseconds here, and I'm going to put the same duration on the new page and also the delay. And now I'm going to put, just like before, let's say 100% opacity 0, right? And here we are going to make 0%, we made transform, translate, epsilon, and we start from the bottom, 100%. And copy this, and let's make 100%, and it should finish at 0. Okay, let's just save it. I don't remember if I save this one too. Let's refresh, and now if I open the post, remember, as the default, there is no custom transitions on the target page, right? Only on the original page. So let's open, and you see the same opacity that we had before, the default one. But now if I come back to the page, I will see my custom animation, right? If I want also the animation on the target, I will have to set the proper animations on the target page, okay? Here. But right now, if I open any page, when I open, nothing happens, or really a slight transition. And when I come back, I have my custom animation, right? All right, now let's check the element transition. So let's not enable any, let's remove all the custom animation on the page, right? Let's remove this, and let's deactivate the page level transition, okay? Let's save, and let's deactivate on the target the same, okay? Now I'm going to go back here. I'm going to deactivate the transition on the page level and activate the element level. Okay, save settings. Let's go back to the builder on my archive, and refresh. Now what I want to do is make the transition between elements, like for example this image and this title, and the image and the title of the target page, right? So to do this, we need to link together these two elements. And for this, we are going to click on the image. You see that there is a new icon, a page transition, okay, with exactly the same settings, the old and the new settings for the custom animation. But what is really important is the first input here, the transition name. And there is a really important message here that you need to read, okay? And let's read it together. The transition name must be unique across the entire page, okay? So you can't put on the same page the same transition name. It needs to be unique. Otherwise, you are going to have errors in the console and the animation won't work, okay? Use the same transition name for both the origin and the target elements. So, right now I'm going to write blog image, okay? And on the post, I'm going to target my media, and I'm going to set blah blah blah. I need to restart here as well, sorry. I'm going to go in media, page transition, and set the exact same name. Okay, but we have a problem here because we just read on the description that the transition name need to be unique, and we are in a query loop context. So the problem is now my blog image, my transition name, will be exactly the same for all the posts, and it will be repeated, and it won't work. Okay, so let's finish the message. If you are running a transition inside a query loop, be sure to append the post ID to the transition name to prevent conflicts. Okay, so to do this, we just add the post ID. Let's choose here the post ID, and I prepend it to my transition name. Okay, and I will do the same on the destination page. Okay, let's repeat this for the heading. Okay, and instead of blog image, we are going to say the blog title. We still append the post ID, really important, and here as well. Okay, my heading, and I'm going to paste here. Okay, so probably we are going to change the animation just to make clear what is happening. Okay, let's put it 800 milliseconds, save here, and we'll say 800 milliseconds here too. Save. Let's come back to our grid, refresh, and let's click on the button. And you see that the animation, the image and the text animated, right? If you come back here, you see that it animated. Is it clear? Okay, and you can of course play with the custom keyframes, the delay, the timing function, and the fill mode as well. Okay, it works exactly the same as the page and the global transitions. So you can also mix together these animation. You can have a global transition on all your page, but a specific transition on specific pages, which includes element transition as well. So you can mix them together. They are independent. But my recommendation is to keep low the animation because it can be quite overwhelming for your visitors, of course. All right, I hope it's clear, and let's go ahead and see the other tricks. Okay, guys, let's talk about the filterable structure. This is a feature that has been introduced in 3.0.3, I think, and you can just enable this one going to the theme settings. Let's go in builder tricks, let's go in structure panel, and you see that there is a new item here, Filterable Structure panel. Make sure to enable it. When it's enabled, you will see a new input on the top of the structure where you can filter actually the elements inside your structure. So if I want to, let's say, just show the section, I'm going to write, section, and you see that two elements have been filtered. The first one is a section, okay, and the second one, there is a new component section in the label. So it filters the label, it filters the element name. So for example, if we do H3, it won't work, but if we do heading here, we'll see, even if I rename Maxime, okay, and I redo the filtering heading, you see that Maxime is filtered not only by label but also by the name of the element, right? I could actually add, it's a good idea to also filter by a tag. This is not available right now, but it could be a good idea. But for example, you could also filter by a global class applied to your structure. So I know that I have a class called active, okay, and if I filter by active, you see that some, of course, some element includes active inside the label. For example, this one, okay. But filterable structure has the class active added to it, and it's filtered correctly inside here. Okay, here there is active inside the label, so it correctly filtered. Okay, so you also can filter by ID. Let's say that I want to put here an ID, let's say bricks, okay, no, sorry, it's a class. Let's say CSS ID bricks test, okay, and I am going to, filter by bricks, and you see that Maxime has been correctly displayed because it has bricks test, let's say brick test, okay, and the ID is correctly filtered, okay. So you can filter by element name, label, global class, and CSS ID, and it will just filter on the fly your structure like this. Okay, that's it for the filterable structure feature. Let's talk about the focus mode. So the focus mode is a new feature that you can enable inside the theme settings, going to structure panel, and you see here focus mode option, enable it. And if you enable this this feature, you can now press command for Mac users, or control for Windows user. And if you press this and click any element inside your structure, let's say this block, for example, it will just filter all the other elements and just show you this block. So it makes it easier for you to apply changes to this particular part of the structure. You see that the focus mode is activated. You can, of course, select all your elements and make your changes. And when you're done, you just cancel here the focus mode, and you're back to your original structure panel. Okay, so you can do on any element, okay, even single one if you want, or bigger one, let's say this one, for example. It will always show the current element you click on it and all the children, right? Okay, pretty simple feature to understand. The modified mode, let's talk about the modified mode. So let's remove active here. I'm going to put active here. The modified mode is easy. So for example, let's say that I want to filter the active control, the control that have been modified. You can do this since I believe the previous release from Bricks, by clicking on this modified icon okay, you see that on this class I modified the color, okay, and you see the color here. But if I change element now, you see that the modified status has been removed, okay, and I need to recheck again the modified icon to see what changed in this element, okay. And if you are looking for if you want to jump on all elements and on multiple elements and see what changed on each of them, you will always need to re-click on modified, okay, modified every time. Instead, there is a modified mode that you see. There is a new icon on the top here that you can click on modified mode. Once it's clicked, okay, you can navigate your structure and you see that the modified mode stay in place, so it doesn't reset each time. So you can easily filter everything and see what is modified on each element. And when you're done, you just disable the modified mode and you are back in the normal mode again. Okay, pretty straightforward to understand as well. Okay, let's remove this lock element order. So the lock element order, put active. It's really easy to. When sometimes you're working on your structure and it probably happened in the past that you wrongly moved an element in the structure and break your layout. Now there is a new icon on the top of the element here. Okay, if you just click on it, you see that the element order is now locked. Okay. And now you can try to drag your elements, but everything is locked. Okay, the order is locked. You can't modify it. Okay, so this is a safety if you are working on your structure. You don't want to drag and drop things the wrong way. Okay, you just lock this. When you're done, you can just unlock the order, and now you are able to drag again. Okay. I just forgot to mention that lock order and modify mode, where to find them in the theme settings. So here in the structure panel icon shortcuts, okay, you can enable this new lock element order, okay, if you want the icon on the top of the structure. Instead, the modify mode, it's in elements icon shortcuts. And you see that there is a new modified mode applied here. Okay, if you want to enable this new modified mode, make sure to toggle on this option. All right, let's move on and remove this one, and let's talk about zoom out. So, active. Zoom out is a new option to zoom out your preview window, and you see when it's activated. You have a new icon on the top of the top bar. You see there is this zoom out icon. If I click on it, you see that my preview has been stretched, so I have a full vision of my page. Of course, in this case, it makes probably not a lot of sense, but on a long page, if you want to just check how each section are looking from an higher perspective, okay, you just have to click on it and it will zoom out and scale to 40%. Okay, if I click on it again, it will come back to the normal view. Okay, to enable this new feature, you go to theme settings and you go to top bar, and you see that there is a new zoom out feature that you need to enable. Okay, there is another advantage of the zoom out, and I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to create another section with dummy texts. Okay, and the advantage of zoom out, if you zoom out here, is you are able now to drag and drop things on the root level of your structure. So if I want to reorder a section and make this section the second one, okay, I can just click on it and drag on the bottom, and it will drag the entire section. Okay, no matter what, if I click on the text, on the header or the button, it won't be selected. The whole section will be selected and draggable. Okay, so you don't need, if you have for example long section, okay, you don't want to mess with the inner content, you just want to reorder section on the root level of your structure, you can use a zoom out to quickly drag and drop things inside your preview window. Okay, so this is the second feature of zoom out. In this new version of Advanced Themer, there is a new feature called Quick Remove Templates. Let's open AT main menu, and you see that there is now a Quick Remove Templates item here in the menu. You have also a cable shortcut that you probably want to memorize if you are going to use this feature. Let's open it, and you see that we have now a new modal to show your templates. Okay, on the top you have your different sources for your templates. In this case, I'm displaying the frames. Okay, if I click on the frames, I'm going to load all the layouts from frames, and you see that they are already all ordered by categories. Clicking on the categories will filter, of course, all the templates. And it has several advantages compared to the native one. The first one is you actually see your preview, and you see that automatically my preview has been set as in zoom out, like I showed before, right? So like that, you have in this way you have a pretty good understanding on how your page is structured and how your template is going to appear once inserted, right? But yes, it's not the only advantage. Of course, you can filter everything here. So let's say I'm going to say contact, and I'm going contact, and I'm going to see all the contact templates. Let's say, for example, content. There is no content. Let's say footer. Oh, because I'm in the contact category. Sorry. If I'm going to all and I'm going to footer, probably here, yeah, I'm seeing all the footer. Okay, so you can easily filter everything from here. Okay. By the way, you can display this modal in one column or two columns, just as you prefer. And also another big advantage of this model, and you can drag and drop inside your page. You can't do this in bricks. Okay. So if I want to insert this section, for example, I'm just going to drag inside my preview. You see that it will also show the position where I want this preview to appear. Let's just apply it here, and my section is going to be imported here. Right now, I don't have ACSS activated, and all the frame custom elements are not displayed. So it doesn't show really good, but I assure you that everything is imported correctly. Okay, let's just remove it for now. Okay, this is for the quick remove templates. The last thing I want to show you is you have a little button on the right here. Oh, by the way, you don't have to drag. You can also just click on it. If you click on it, it will just add it to the end of the root of your page. Okay, so if you just want to quickly add, you can just click on it, and it will add it on your page. Okay, but also you have here saving my template. So for example, if you don't want to navigate each time the all frames or any other collection, okay, you don't want to keep looking after the section that you're using, you can save them inside the My Templates category, where you may keep the templates that you are using the most. Okay, and there is an easy way to do this, is just by clicking this icon. Okay, if I click it, it says that the feature section Havana has been correctly saved as my template. Okay, if I'm going here in my templates, we see now that feature section Havana has been correctly saved. Okay, and if I now let's save the page and restart. Okay, let's reopen Quick Remove Templates, and you see that my feature section Havana here has been correctly displayed inside my templates category. Okay, the thumbnail hasn't been uploaded automatically because this is a feature inside the template from Bricks. So if we go here, and if we want to actually generate a screenshot, we can do this by clicking here. Okay, and it will generate for you the thumbnail, and it will also, once done, it will display inside the Advanced Steamer feature. Okay, let's talk about the AI features in this new release. So we have two items here, the AI in custom CSS and a new AI prompt manager. So let's begin with AI in custom CSS. So if you have SuperPowerCSS activated, I have it already on my installation, you can just click on the CSS and you see that we have a new bar on the bottom of the editor, where you can ask AI to generate code for you, CSS code for you. Of course, make sure to have an active API inserted inside the theme settings, right? Otherwise, it won't work. And but I have an API active on this installation, and I'm going to ask AI to create CSS for me. So create 3 call grids. Okay, and I'm just going to click on the send request here, and it will generate this declaration for me, a display grid, and it created green template columns for me. Okay, if I now want to modify the existing code, I'm just going to click edit existing code. Okay, and then I'm going to activate this option, and I'm going to ask make it 5 column instead of 3. Okay, and if I click send here, you see that it modified the CSS and it added the 5 column inside instead of 3. Okay, so it works correctly. If for any reason the generated CSS is messing with your design, you have an option here. You see that once we have generated CSS, we have now an option to undo all the AI changes. So it previously saved your CSS, the one that was originally there, okay, and it will just cancel all the changes that AI did. Okay, so if I click on it, you see that it will be back to 3 now. Okay, so this is a safety measure. So if AI for some reason doesn't generate a clean code, which may happen because AI is not right now 100% secure way to generate code. Okay, it can always mess with things. You have a safety plan to retrieve back your work. Okay. But it's not it. You can also generate CSS using your prompt manager, so you don't have to type again and again the same thing over and over. Okay, you have access to AI prompt manager. So let's open the AT main menu, and you will see that in OpenAI we have this prompt manager that you can open. And you see that now it's only available for now for CSS, but it will also be available for content and other sections here. Okay, so it's just the beginning. And you see that by default there are 5 ready-to-use prompts that you can use in your custom CSS. Okay, but let's create a new prompt. Let's say create a 3-color grid. Okay, I'm just going to copy. Let's create enter, and it will create a new prompt. Okay, and this is a label, of course, the name of it. And let's complete the prompt. So let's create a 3-color grid, but you can, of course, insert all the prompt that you want here. Okay, save and continue, or save and close, it doesn't really matter. And now I'm going to reopen, to click on this, choose a global prompt. Okay, and you see the list of all the saved prompts inside the manager. These are the default one, but we just saved the create a 3-color grid here. If I click on it, it will populate my prompt inside here. So I don't have to type it over and over. And if I want to choose another one, let's say convert static values to CSS variables, you see that it is a long prompt. I'm just going to send it, and you see that it generates the spacing unit as a CSS variable, and it replaced correctly inside here. Okay, so this is the AI inside custom CSS and the integration with the AI prompt manager. Okay, let's go ahead and see the other one. Let's remove active here, and let's go to the color pop-up set row and display it as a list. So if we go into background, for example, and click on background color, okay, there is now an option to show the list, the colors as a list, not as a grid anymore, because now you can see also the labels of each variables. Okay, that's first. And second, it's already selected as a row. So if you want to add your own variable, okay, you can just click on it, because it's now visible. Before you had to select the row field here, because by default it's in X. Okay, and this is an option, of course. If you are fine with the grid, just don't enable it. By the way, this tweak can be enabled in builder tweaks, elements, and you see color pop-up set to row and displayed as a list. If you want your default color pop-up to be displayed as a list, make sure to enable this feature. Okay, and now let's move on with this one, active. The new color variable picker. Okay, there is an alternative to the default one, okay, which is the one that the color pop-up that we just talked about. There is now a custom color variable from AT that can be enabled from here, right? And it is class and styles, and you see that you can enable the color variable picker here. Once this option is enabled in your theme settings, on all the control with a color, so with this icon here, it can be a background color, it can be a text color, any control that is a color control, okay, you can just right click on it, okay, and instead of opening the core color pop-up, it will open the AT color pop-up, okay, and the AT color pop-up is a bit different, so it will list all your color palette here, okay, and you can easily navigate through one or the other, okay. You can expand any color palette by default by just clicking on this. So if right now I have no color pop-up set as default, okay, so if I open now, you see that no color palette is open by default. But if I click on this one, Just like it happened for classes and variables, this palette will be opened by default the next time I'm opening it. Okay, so and now I see my default color palette that I can display it in three different views. The first one is the column view, and you see that now you can see this view works particularly well with the color manager. If you set your color here in Advanced Themer and you created your shapes with Advanced Themer, this is the right way to display your colors, because now you have for each color inside your color palette, you have the main color, the primary, the light shades. I have 4 light shades. Your dark shades, I have 20 dark shades, and your transparent shades. Okay, and here I have 10 transparency shades. Okay, just click on any of them and it will apply on your elements. Okay, the same for the secondary. It also has shades, so the view automatically calculates if the color has shades or not. Okay, and if it has shades, it will display in this way. If the color has no shades, it will just display the shades like normal, like here. Okay, and you see, by the way, that if you hover on any color, it will show the preview just by hovering. Okay, but if you don't click, it won't apply it to the element. Okay, this is the first view. The second view is a list view. It's pretty similar to the other one, but you see that in this view everything is categorized pretty well. So we have our primary, then our light shades, then our dark, and our transparent. And you see everything is categorized in a way that make it more efficient for you. Okay, this is the second view. And the third view is a grid view. And again, every color here is organized as it should. So the primary, the light shades, the dark shades, and the transparent shades, they are separated. It's not just everything together like it is in the Bricks native color pop-up, but everything is organized based on the main color and the shades. Right? So this is the new color variable picker. And now let's move on to the new feature, link spacing controls by default. So you may probably face this issue when you click on layout and you want to apply something here. Let's disable this feature for now. By the way, this feature can be enabled on the elements link spacing control by default. Okay, I'm just going now to remove it for now, just to explain better. Let's refresh and click on any element. So let's say that I want to apply a padding, okay, of 50, and I want to link opposite. Okay, so now if I do 50 or 60, they are going to be linked. Okay, but if I now change element, you see that my opposite link isn't saved anymore. So I continuously need to reclick on the opposite link or the all side links to apply this value I'm inserting here, to apply this value on all the inputs, right? And so you are continuously clicking and clicking and clicking this. So now this new feature, the link spacing controls, once you enable it, you have here a new option to decide which value will be this toggle by default. Okay, so you can decide to link the opposite inputs together or all the inputs together. And if I say, let's say all, save settings, and you will see that when I restart the builder, Now, by default, if I go to spacing, all my my inputs are linked. So if I do 10, okay, all my inputs will be linked. And if I change elements, the same apply, everything is linked. Okay, you can always change it. This is just the default view. You can just make it unlinked and it will work as expected. But as soon as I'm coming back to this element, okay, it will be by default set as all sides linked. Okay, so this is for the link spacing control. And let's talk about the logical properties controls. So natively in Bricks, we have, if you go to the layout, we have margin, padding, width, min width, 8, etc., etc. These are considered directional properties. Okay, so it doesn't take into account the orientation of the text, so left to right, right to left. And it may cause some accessibility issues, actually. So the modern way to apply margin, padding, width, etc., etc., is to use logical properties instead of directional. And now in this version of Advanced Themer, if you go to Builder Tweaks Elements, at the bottom of the page, you see logical properties. We can enable it, and you have also the ability to remove the directional properties. For now, let's just keep both ways alive inside the builder, and let's refresh and let's see how it looks now inside the builder. So if we go into the layout now, you see that we don't have only the margin, but we have also the margin logical version. And if we do apply this logical properties and see what it looks like in the style overview, you see that now we have the block start, the inline end, the block end, and the inline start values applied to our elements. Okay? And this also applies for the width. So instead of using this directional property width, we are going to use the inline size. Okay? The same goes for the minimum inline size, the maximum inline size, and the block size, which replace the 8. Okay? And also the inset. So instead of using top, right, bottom, left, we can just use the inset property, which is the logical properties of these ones. Okay? And there's not only this, there's also the border. You see that now we don't have only the border and the box shadow, but we also have in this in the panel view, we have the border width logical and also the border radius logical. Okay, so this is a way to apply your logical properties inside Bricks. Now, if you want to remove the directional one, so the native controls from Bricks, you can do it, but it's pretty extreme as an action. Okay, you can just remove directional properties. But make sure you know what you're doing. But if you're using, for example, frames or Brixies or external templates, okay, they all rely on the core controls of Bricks. And if you remove them, of course, it won't. It may break your layout. So for now, just if you can do it, of course, if you are not relying on external libraries and you know what you're doing. But now if you go to layout, you see that we only show the margin and padding logicals and only logical properties here. And the same goes for the others. Okay, we don't have top, right, bottom, we just have inset now. Okay, so if you are going to focus on logical properties, it's a great way, but make sure you don't rely on the other previous controls from Bricks. So yeah, if you are going this way, my recommendation is to do it at the beginning of the build. Okay, so Don't apply this feature on already existing website where you already applied all the values, directional values. It will be a mess to shift to a logical properties view, right? But do it at the beginning. If you are starting a website and you are starting from scratch and you control every aspect of the website, you can decide to go the logical way, and this is the right time to start doing it. Okay? So this is for it for the logical properties. Let's check now extract variables as global variables. This is a feature actually in Advanced CSS. If we open Advanced CSS, okay, I can now extract the variables and import them as global variables inside the brick system. Okay, so let's create a dummy variable. So let's say variable Maxime, and I'm going to assign red as value. Okay, right now we are declaring this variable inside our CSS, so we want them to appear inside here, inside our variable manager, right? And I'm just going to click on the advanced features and extract variables and add them as global variables. Okay, one variable exported successfully. And if I now reopen my variable manager, I will see that my variable Maxime has been inserted here. It has no value right now because the value is now declared inside CSS. Okay, so it doesn't override the value declared. Okay, but you can reuse the same value, the same variable using now the CSS speaker, for example. Okay, and if you want to remove it from here, you can remove your variable and maybe assign the value that you want here. And you can say red, and it will apply red correctly. Okay. So this is the extract variable. It works the same way like it worked for the class. Okay. You can also extract classes from your CSS and add them as the global classes in bricks. Okay. But it won't import the properties of your class. It will just add the class to your class lists that you can quickly add them inside your build. And the same way the variables are exported and exported inside your variable manager, so you can quickly pick them inside your build without overwriting the values declared in your CSS. Okay, now let's talk about the two new elements, the Nestable Darkmode button and toggle. So I create a section here and we are going to add them. So you see that now the previous dark mode toggle and button are set as legacy. Legacy doesn't mean that it's going to be deleted anytime soon. Okay, it means that my focus in development won't be targeted on the legacy, and I'm going to focus my development on the toggle nestable and button nestable. Okay, because I believe that the nestable property of these elements is something more valuable for you, and I'm going to try to demonstrate why. So if I click on both of them, you'll see that now the dark mode is not a single element only, but it contains all the inner wrappers that are inside the elements. So you have the total freedom to change the styles and add your own element inside the nested element. Okay, and there are more features compared to the legacy ones. For the example is the accessibility table here. You can set your ARIA label and all your focus styles. Okay, which is really important for accessibility. And you can change anything. So you can change the icon, because now we have an element icon here, and you can change your icon as you want. Change the color, change the dimension. Okay, you don't rely exclusively on the setting of the single elements, but you have complete freedom over the DOM structure and everything inside it. The only thing you need to keep in mind is each element, okay, include a default class that is visible, okay, and is inserted inside the CSS classes here, okay. Make sure to keep them. Even if you are going to customize your element your way, these classes actually have some role in the JavaScript related to it. So if you are going to delete the classes, probably the element won't work as expected, right? So you want to keep these default classes like this. Don't touch them. And the same goes for the button. We also have the accessibility features here, and you can change the light view and dark view background color on click, okay? And you can, of course, customize it like you want. Okay, guys, last minute addition. It wasn't planned, but I will put this quick tutorial about animation tab and controls that I just added in the last release of ATE. And now we have new animation controls. So let's check it in the theme settings. Let's go into the builder tweaks, elements, and on the bottom of it, you'll see new animation tab and controls. You can enable it. Of course, it's in orange, so it means that if you plan to disable Advanced Themer on production, it's better to avoid enabling it. Okay, but if you plan to keep Advanced Themer on your website, you are safe to continue. Okay, and there is also a left tab shortcut that I activated, so it's easier for me to jump on the correct tab. So once this is enabled, you can refresh your builder, and I just created a simple grid of different blocks here. Okay, you see the grids here. I just put an aspect ratio 1 and a small background on it. Then I created, using advanced CSS, I created a keyframes named block that I'm going to copy. That changed basically the opacity, the scale, and the background of the block. Okay. So now here's the magic. If we go to the block settings, you see that now I have a new icon animation here. If I click on it, we have new controls to control the animation, right? So the normal animation are the first part. Then we have the animation timeline, which is an experimental feature, okay, which may not be a good fit for production website, although it won't break your layout even on unsupported browsers. So the fact is that the users won't see animations, but it won't create errors on the front end if it's activated. So you see if you want to enable for all your visitors. By the way, in the next release, so not the last one, but the next release, there will be the possibility to enable the polyfill, which make it compatible for all the browsers, but adding a small JavaScript on your front end, and this feature will be then available for Safari and all the browsers not supported at this time. All right, so let's see in action. Okay, So in order to make an animation to work, there are at least two fields that are required, and it's written here. Both animation name and animation duration are required for the animation to function correctly. Okay, so I'm going to put here my block animation. Okay, block. This is the name that I created for the keyframe here in Advanced CSS, right? The same name. And I need to say at least, let's say, 100 milliseconds, right? And let's save. It's not applying right now, but let's see if on front end it's working. Okay, and we see the animation is working on load, right? And if you want it to stay persistent after the reload, we need to change the fill mode to forwards. Okay, now it's seeing on the front end, and let's say if I refresh here, you see that the animation is persistent after it finished. Okay, this is pretty simple for the animation. It exists since a long time, but the magic is on the animation timeline, and I will show you how it works. It's really easy. Once the animation is linked to your keyframe, you just have to go to the animation timeline, select view, right? And now we are going to also set the range. So let's say we want the animation start from the entry, so from the bottom of the viewport, and it needs to be executed, completed once it reaches, let's say, 80% of the window. All right. Once you set these three values, if I now scroll my windows, you see that the animation is linked to the mouse. It's a scrolling animation right now. Let's save and see it in action inside the browser, in the front end, and you see it's super smooth and it responds exactly to the mouse. Okay, so this opens to a lot of possibilities. Keep in mind that it's 100% vanilla CSS, okay? No custom JavaScript behind. And of course, it's not a complete solution like you could find in BrixForge, for example, which has the JSAP integration, and JSAP allows you to do a lot more than simple CSS, but the main effect, visual effect, can be done using keyframes. So if you have some imagination, you can do a lot of cool things using this animation timeline. All right. I'm going to stop here and go ahead with the improvements. So the first big change in this version is ACF requests to the database made by AT dropped to one single request. So before we had like 200 requests made to the database using the core ACF function to retrieve the options saved into the database. And while it had no really big consequences on the server performance, it's still 200 requests. So the idea was to improve the code and make a single SQL request to get all the database entries. And yeah, this is of course a disruptive change, because the way that the ACF managed to save and load the options quite complicated. So it might be some errors from here. As far as I know, from the beta release, most of the features from the theme settings work correctly. But yeah, if you notice anything going on, just let me know, and we'll solve it for the next release. But anyway, this is a big step forward to reduce the request to the database and make a single request for all the options saved in Advanced Themer. All right. The second one, the AT settings. So let's check what's going on here, because there are some breaking changes. The first one is enable disable elements are now hidden when checked. So let's go to the theme settings and let's go to the builder elements. Okay, now it changes. So it changed. Now everything is disabled by default. Okay, and you have to check the one that you want to disable. Okay, this way there won't be anymore the error that there was before, because before everything was selected by default and you had to disable the elements that you wanted to disable, which made sense. The problem is as soon as Bricks added new elements, just like the filters, for example, okay, it added to the list. The problem is the options saved weren't, of course, updated. So you already saved a portion of elements, right? So they were disabled by default, and you had to go there again and enable the new elements. Otherwise, it wasn't displaying on inside the builder, right? So now the idea is the opposite. Everything is enabled by default, of course, but to disable an element, okay, you have to explicitly toggle it inside this option and save. And as soon as you do this, it will be disabled on the builder, okay? So, and now this list is dynamically populated. So if tomorrow Bricks release a new version of Bricks with new elements, this list will be automatically populated with the new element, and it will be by default available, enabled. So you will have to come, if you want to disable it, you have to come back to this section and explicitly toggle it to disable it. Okay, I hope it makes sense, but this is a breaking change you have to keep in mind from now on. Okay, let's go back here. The second one is more granular control over the exported, imported, reset AT data. So if we come back to the theme settings again and we go to the import export settings, you see that now we have a lot more options for export, import, and also reset. It's the same list. And you see that now you have granular control, so you can export the theme settings, the grid guide settings, the right shortcuts. We will see in a moment why this option has been added, because now you can save your preferences inside the builder. The strict editor settings, the nested element library, the query manager, the AI prompt manager we just saw earlier, you can save them and export them for the other sites. And also in Advanced CSS, you see that you can export the global CSS, the child theme, and the partial and custom style sheets and recipes. Okay, so you have a lot. You have granular control over all the data saved in Advanced Themer into your database to make it work. Okay, and you can export this on all your website. Okay, that's another point. The third one, you see added new Bricks exportable data, like the global settings, the components, the pseudo classes. Let's see what it means. Now you can export everything that Bricks save. So this is not dependent from Advanced Themer, but these are all the options saved by Bricks itself. Okay, like the settings. Okay, the settings here from Bricks. You can export them and import on other sites, all the color palettes, the global classes, the CSS variables, all the new components shipped in 1.12, you can export them as well. All the pseudo classes created, the theme styles, the breakpoint settings, the structure widths, and the panel width. These are all the options saved into the database by Bricks, and you can now decide to export them and import them directly in your new website. You don't have to redo everything, recheck all the settings, etc., etc. You can just export them, done. Okay? This is for the bricks exportable data. We have also in the AT settings new keyboard shortcuts for the AI prompt manager and the quick search. So if we go in the builder tweaks and go in the keyboard shortcuts, you see that we have now enabled quick search, and on the bottom the open quick remote template shortcut for keyboards. Okay, this is the news from the AT theme settings. Now let's talk about the new quick edit toggles. Let's make it active. New quick edit toggles within the AT main menu. So if now you open the AT main menu, okay, you see that there is a new section here, quick edits, and you see a selection of builder tweaks that we usually use when building, but sometimes you don't want to go back to the theme settings, change, find the builder tweaks, in which category, toggle off, save, and reload. You don't want to do that every time, right? There are some times that you just want to disable it inside your session, and it's done. Okay, so for example, you don't want to lock ID styles, you just disable it, and now even if you have a class here, but I disable it, okay, and I'm on ID level, it's not locked anymore, and I can just use it like the ID styles are not locked anymore in this session, okay? And same goes on for all these tweaks. Focus on first unlocked class. If you want to disable it, it won't be automatically focused on the first unlocked class. You can disable the auto format controls, highlight classes. You can disable the suggestion drop-down for CSS variables, etc., etc., etc. Even the SuperPowerCSS can be disabled. The dynamic data model, and I'm just stopping here, but the list is here. Okay, just check if you want to momentarily disable a builder tweak. You can just do it from this quick edit list, right? Okay, let's move on and let's talk about the revamped structure shortcuts. Okay, this is a big one, okay, because now this structure here, you see the right element shortcuts, has two major improvements. First of all, you can now add everything you want as element, as shortcuts. Okay, let me show it. You see that now we have a new icon here in the shortcut settings. Just click on it and it will open a new model, okay, where we see the active elements we have in the bar, okay, and the inactive, which is all your elements on this page. And it includes also the third-party elements, like for example, for now, at the moment I have Brick Extras installed on this installation. I can also add the Pro of Canvas, okay, and it will add this Pro of Canvas shortcut inside my build, okay. I can of course reorder them. I can just drag and drop the any item, okay, and you see that my Pro Canvas is here now, and I'll put the nested elements at the end, okay. So I can add and activate or inactivate any elements inside the builder, and you have here a toggle all. See, if I want to activate all the elements, I can do it. So I deactivate all the elements and reactivate all of them. I can activate all of them in one click, okay. But just make sure if you want it to be consistent on reload, you have to save these settings, okay, in the database. So let's save. Shortcut settings saved successfully. And now if I close, I have the list of all elements on the right. And now you see that there is a scrolling sidebar. Now I can even scroll on the right for all the elements here. So you are not limited about the number, but everything can be shown on the right. Of course, putting every element here doesn't really make sense because you will take more time to search them than to add them from here. Okay, so my suggestion is anyway, keep it I mean a small number, the one that you use every time. Okay, so you probably will add container, section, block, div, heading, basic text. All this one you will use for sure. But yeah, you can make your own selection of shortcuts you want to add. Okay, and it's not done here yet, but you can also add your components. I have two components here. You see that the components are purple, okay, with the color. I can decide to add my own component. You see, they are now active. Let's save them. And now I can click and add a component directly from my shortcut elements bar. Okay, this is great. So if I let's remove this section, okay, and collapse it. We will create a new section, okay, and I want my card here added to it. Up, just click it, and my component is added to the page. Right, so it's fully compatible with components. Okay, that's it for the revamped structure shortcuts. Let's disable it and disable it. And let's talk about the revamped tag manager. Active. Okay. Here again, everything has been revamped. It's now faster than before. And the code is more structured right now. So you should see a small performance increase. But the main difference is the new color system. So now we don't have green, orange, and red inside the structure, but everything is green. Why? Because now you are not limited by elements that have no drop down. So before, the green mean that you were able to change the tag inside the structure. Okay. Orange means you were able to change the tag, but not from the structure. You had to go inside the panel, the element panel. So just to make you an example, so you understand, if I create, this is my error of before. Let's create a section, okay, and let's add a button, okay. A button doesn't have a drop down, okay. So before, you weren't able to change the tag from the structure because there were no drop down to see, okay, but you were not able to add custom HTML tag. Now everything is green. Why? Because you are able to add custom tags from the structure. Okay, if you just click on it, even if there is no drop down here, you are able to change the custom tag. So let's say we don't want a button, but we want a tag. I'm just setting A and enter. And you see that from the structure, the button is now a link with the HTML tag here. It's an anchor. Okay, so now the orange doesn't make any sense because we can change it from the structure. The only thing that is the same as before is if I want to change, let's say, a code element, okay, I'm going to add the code here. You see that the code, by default, there is no way to change the HTML tag here, okay? And so you see that there is a slight opacity on the tag button here. You still can click on it, but if you click on it, there will be a message. The HTML tag of this element cannot be changed. Okay, so now the differences inside the structure is based on whether you can or you can't change the HTML tag of this element. Okay, I hope it's clear. So for any element, let's say the basic text now, and I click on the P, you can either choose from the drop down. Okay, the drop down is the same as this drop down. Okay, but you can also change the custom tag just from here. And I don't want the basic text, but I want a span. I just write it and enter, and it will set it as a custom HTML tag. Okay, hope it makes sense. Let's move on and talk about the style overview. So, style overview, let's set it active. There's basically three new features. The first one is there is a new structure list within the style overview model. It is completely compatible with components, and there is new class and styles indicator. So what that means by this, let's open style overview here. Okay, and you will see some changes. Okay, first of all, we have this list on the right. So now you can jump on any elements from your structure without closing your style overview model. Okay, you can just check every single element from here, and you see that we have the class and style indicators. So for example, it makes sense that if we click on there is no indicators, there is no style, there is no class, nothing is shown here. But if I click on my column 1 here, you see that I have a class, and the class is this one. Okay, and I have styles. Sorry, the class is column, but on column there is no style, so it doesn't show it. Okay, but there are styles on the ID level, and the ID level is column count and display. Okay, like before, you can switch from bricks and CSS from here now, because before the buttons were on the right here. So we have new buttons to toggle from bricks and CSS. And you can also navigate through components. So let's add, instead of this, let's add our card here. Okay, and let's open style overview, and you see that at the bottom we have our card, and we can navigate through the element within the card. Okay, so for example, the button, this button has a style primary, that it fixes inside the card, and you can change the styles of this button without opening or editing the component, just from the structure panel, from the style overview panel. Okay, so these are the main changes of style overview. Let's talk about the class converter. Class converter, active, and let's remove this one. Class converter, it's also compatible with components. Okay, so if I open now my class converter from here, you see that inside my preview I have the card, which is a component, and it's automatically considered as a component. You see here, components of my class converter. So even if my section, it's inside my section, you see that it doesn't take, it's taking a his own base name. Okay, and you can switch from the section and the component card. Okay, and you can change the base name just for card max. For example, you will change the base name and the delimiter, and everything, every option will target exclusively the component card max. Okay, there is now an active background color on root elements. So this is a root. You see that there is now a background color to just show you that this is the root of the component. Okay. There is no such background on components, but because it's pretty clear that the first one, card max, is the root of the component. But the other one, there is this light background active on the root. You can now toggle on the root element. You see that we have now here this toggle. If I click on this one, it will toggle all the children. And this happens only on the root element. Okay, so for example, if you have a component, but you don't want to add the classes to all the elements of the component, you want to skip them, you don't have to manually select one by one. Okay, you can just deselect them, clicking on the root element, and bam, all excluded. And if you want to re-add it, just one click and it will be re-added automatically. Okay? You have now a new option. You can now sync elements label. On the bottom here, you see sync elements label. So let's make an example. I want this section, and I want to say max 1. Let's make like max 1. Okay, max can type. Max 2 without this, and max 3 and max 4. Okay, if I now sync element labels, okay, and create class, you see that my labels here are synced. We have max 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, and there is now a new class indicator. So let's come back here, class converter, and you see that we have this little dot, which indicates that the class already exists. I just created section max 1, max 2. Okay, so these classes already exist. It's just an indicator that you are about to create a class that already exists. If I change to 7, for example, this doesn't exist yet. And you see that now there is a green button. And it says class doesn't exist yet. And if we rename multiple times the same class, you will have an orange dot, which indicates that the class is duplicated within the class converter. So if you are going to create these classes, right, you are going to duplicate this class multiple times. So imagine that you have a set of styles on this element, okay, and another set of styles on the second one, okay. When you are going to copy the ID styles from the ID to the classes, okay, it will erase the first one. So you need to be really careful when you have duplicated classes, okay, within the class converter, because you might want to skip this one, okay, if you want to export the style from this element, and also the opposite, you may want to disable this one to export the second set of styles. Okay, I hope I'm clear. But this is explained also on the website. If you go inside the feature class converter, you will see documentation that explain this possible conflict when duplicate classes are run. Okay, so these are the news for the class converter. Okay, let's talk about the plain classes. So if I open my plain classes here, you see that first of all, added a lock icon next to all the locked classes. So if I look after a class that I know is locked, my GridMax class is locked, and now you have a lock icon just to show you it's a locked icon. Okay. Also, now if you are clicking on an active class, it will remove it from the class list. So let's make the test. I'm going to uncategorized, and if I add my cart content, okay, of course I completely forgot I need to hold the Shift K. So you see that the cart content is now added to the list. Okay, if I hit the Shift K and click on cart content, it will be removed. So I can toggle actually the class I want to add. So if I click on card image container, but I want to remove them all, okay, I can just re-click on it and it will toggle them from the list. And you see also that now if I open Class Manager, okay, there will automatically be a space. You don't have to hit the space bar anymore to start adding a class, but you can just do my class and enter, okay, and it will add my class. It is a little improvement just to avoid you to repeatedly hit the spacebar just to add a class. Okay, that's it for the plain class. Let's remove active and talk about the color manager really quick. There was an issue with the color manager. If we open it, is when I was adding a color. Okay, let's call it max color, and I wanted to change the value here. The problem is it wasn't updating correctly until, or when we were writing here, like let's say FFF, sorry, with the with this one FFF. Okay, now as soon as I hit 6 digits, you see that the color updated automatically. Before you had to blur, so you had to click outside here to make sure that the color was correctly updated, which it was annoying. Okay, and now you can also see if you want to add maybe a 3-digit, okay, color EEE, for example. You can just hit enter, and it will recalculate the color, and you see it correctly updated. Or if I want to do 000, and I can also hit tab, and tab will recalculate the X value. So you don't have to play with the blur and click outside the text input to update it. It was really annoying, and now this is fixed. Okay, small improvement. Let's talk about the quick search. So now the quick search, you can search after element ID, and it has also a new component section. So let's open the quick search, and sorry, let's look after MQ zeta, and it will find jump inside the element, the quick search element here. You see. So you can look after the ID. If you know the ID of an element, maybe you are looking on the front end and you see there is something wrong in the style, and you see the ID. You don't want to search after all your structure to find it. You just can quick search it and jump into the element, and it's done. Okay. Now you also have a component section here, you see, that will list all your components. So it's also in the overview window here, add component to the structure, for example, or also I believe you can jump to the element. Okay, there is a card here, and no, I don't know why this is oh, because I have a card contain global. Okay, no matter, but you can add component to the structure from the quick search. So if I come back, I create, let's toggle it again, create again the error. I want to add my card from the structure. Okay, it will add from the quick search. Okay, and you can do that for any component. So I know Victor is one. Okay, if I create section Victor, it will add it to my container. Okay, let's remove it. Okay, so quick search is now compatible with components. Structure helper, really quick. We have now the component extended collapsed, and the filter are now toggable. So let's see what I mean by that. If I open my structure, you can see that now, if I want to toggle a filter, I can just, let's say, elements with at least one custom class. There is none for now, at least one global class. Okay, there is it. You see that I can re-click on it and it will actually toggle the filter. And so you can have a view without any filter, which was not possible before. And you can just switch the filter as you want to have a better view of your structure. Okay, and now you have also a new option, a component extended. So let's again add a section with section Victor and also a card. Okay, let's open my structure helper, and you see that now in my structure I can have by default the components are extended. So if you want, for example, to jump on this code element, just click on it and it will open my component in edit mode and already select my code element, so I can quickly edit it. Okay, and if I come back to my structure, I can also collapse these components. If you don't want to see each element, the inner elements, just click on it and it will show the section as collapsed. Okay, so basically let's remove this. Basically the structure helper is also compatible with components. Okay guys, let's speak about the nested elements. So if you open the nested elements, you will see that on the custom elements you created, so not the default one, but here I have a custom element that I created, Maxime. You see that there is a new icon, convert as component. Now you can convert your nested element as bricks components. So just click on it. Maxime has been converted as component. And if I go to the component section, you see, let's make it one column, that my section here has been correctly created. Okay, and if I let's collapse everything. If I add it, you see that my section with I have no properties, of course. Here you can add your properties, but if I go here, I believe, no, I never remember. Okay, here I can edit my component as well, okay, with all the elements inside. Okay, so an easy way to convert your nested element into core components. And there is also a new PHP filter to manage the default element. So you can now get rid of these elements, the default one, if you don't want to display them. You have a default. If you go in Advanced Themer and you go to the change logs, let's go to the change logs, okay, of 3.0. You will see, let's make a search PHP. In this one, okay, you see here an example where you can list the default elements with var dump. You can remove all the nested elements if you set the array, an empty array. And you can also add your own new nested elements if you know a bit of code and you want to add your own element. You have an example here how to do it. Okay, this is true for the nested elements, and it's also true for the back shadow generator. You can also remove or add your preset for the box shadow. And there is also an example in the changelog if you want to add a filter to your child theme. Okay, let's come back here, and you see that this is a following point box generator. I already covered it. And the last feature, new shortcuts and icons to remove element on front end and hide remove element on front end or hide in builder in contextual menu. Actually, there is two features I want to show you. So the first one is the icon in the contextual menu. If I right click here, you see that now on hide element, I have new icons here. Okay. The first, so you can manage remove from front end just from the contextual menu. If I click on it, you see that I remove on front end, and here the option remove element on the front end is actually enabled. Okay, I can deselect it from here, or I can hide the elements only on the builder, the second one. Okay, and it will correctly select the hide element inside the builder, right? Now the second thing I want to show you is this floating bar. This is new in Advanced Themer. So if we come back to the theme settings and we go to the elements, on the bottom where you actually enabled hide element here, new hide element. Now when you enable it, you see that you have a new option here, hide remove element, floating bar visible by default. If you want this floating bar by default, just click yes. Otherwise, you can also disable it. But my suggestion is to keep it active. I think it's a valuable feature. I will show you how to enable it if you want to, even if it's not enabled by default. Okay. Now if I select an element, you see there is no floating bar, but from the right click, hide element, you see the last one is the floating bar. You can actually enable it from here, and from now on you can select any element, and you see that the floating bar here is visible. So you have now an interface, a visible interface, where you see if the element as a display is visible on the inside the builder or is active on the front end. And just by toggling it, okay, you can disable on the builder or on the front end, or change the element to display none. Okay, just from the builder, so from the structure panel. Sorry. Okay, so if you change it and come back to here, it will automatically show if the front end or the builder or the display is toggled on or off. Okay, so a quick shortcut to manage your visibility properties. Okay, the last thing I want to mention, it's not in the list, but I want to mention it anyway. In the last version 3.0, when you select it, let's go back to the theme settings and let's go to the top bar. Now if you select responsive helper actually is now divided by two different tweaks. So before, responsive helper included the two clicks on the breakpoints to show the minimum and the maximum width of the breakpoint. Okay, and also the breakpoint slider. Okay, let me show what I'm referring to. I'm going to refresh. Okay, so the responsive helper is now considered. If you double click on a breakpoint, you see the minimum and the maximum width of this breakpoint. Okay, so you can check at any point the maximum width and the minimum width. Okay, and this slider beside it is really useful if you want to check the responsiveness of your page. Okay, and at any moment you can disable it by clicking on these three dots, responsive slider. You can just hide it and reactivate it at any time. Okay, so now these are two different tweaks, because maybe some users wanted the responsive helper, but maybe didn't want to add the breakpoint slider, so you can just disable it, save settings, and if I refresh, there will still be the responsive helper, so you can also check the different breakpoints, okay, but there is no more 3 dots and no more slider, okay. If you activate the breakpoint slider, by default it will be visible on load. This is different from the previous release. Before the default was hidden, okay, and you had to remember to activate the response slider and check it that way. The problem is, if it's not activated by default, the most people didn't even know this feature exists, and didn't make sense to make it hidden when it's a tweak that you explicitly activated from the settings. So now if you activate the slider, the responsive slider, it will be loaded by default, and you can just use it like that. But if it's somehow messes with your workflow, you can decide to disable it from the settings. Okay? And that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the new features in 3.0. Let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite, and if you have any suggestion for improvement, just let me know in the comments, and see you for the next one. Bye bye, guys.